Thought the energy was really good at our practice for the first time, actually being on the grass. Guys getting really acclimated to our systems and our schemes, just the way they moved around. It's kind of expected that first day. It is always going to be great energy, but just really impressed and really surprised a little bit of how they have kind of taken our systems and they kind of ran with it so far. We still got to get some things cleaned up logistically. We're teaching and training everybody, from the players to the managers to the training staff. Everybody just learning something new and different that we kind of bring it to the table.
We'll go to questions and just as we get started here, if you could introduce yourself and who you represent, just so Coach can start putting some faces to names.
Coach Miles Garrett, Fox 5. I know you just kind of touched on a little bit of that, the newness of being out here and implementing some new systems. But for yourself, being a head coach before, how has this experience been different so far? Even this is still super early in how this usually goes.
Yeah, I think every situation is different because every situation just has its own things that you uncover as you go through it day to day. This is, obviously the nuts and bolts of it, the basis of it is all the same. Leading men is all, pretty much the same as what you're trying to do and trying to get accomplished. But at the same time, just some of the logistical things that you approach when you take over a program or when you walk into any program. We don't do the same things that we did in National Football League here and in the NFL. We didn't do the same things that we did at the University of Tennessee when I was there. So you're just trying to learn all those different things and mechanics of how things operate at the new place.
What would you say is the hardest thing to implement when you're starting at a new program?
Yeah, I think to try to get everybody, singing out the same hymn book is always difficult. You're not only talking about offense, defense, special teams, schematics. You're talking about just how you move and what your standard is of operation within your program. How you come in the building, how you sit in meetings, how you take notes. Just training all those different guys within the building on how we're going to move and how we're going to do business. And then also too, you're trying to train all the different entities that touch your program across campus. That touch your guys each and every day. So all that's kind of fun. That's the fun part about it. You get to see it all come to life in your vision.
Aaron Ladd, Atlanta News First. What are your goals for the football team specific to spring? I know the fall and the games, everybody wants to win. Specific to spring, what are your goals that you're
Yeah, I would love to see our players just continue to get better on a day-to-day basis. I want to see them. We talk about going like 1-0 mindset, right? Like every day, every chance we get on the grass, every chance we get in the meeting room, we want to come out the meeting room better than when we came into it as. And the same thing when we get on the grass. My expectation is that Wednesdays when we come back out here is better than today on Monday. We're going to implement more things and do a lot more. So, the standard continues to rise, continue to goes up. And hopefully by the end of spring, at least they have an understanding of what the standard is, how we're operating, and what's going to be acceptable and non-acceptable from our staff.
Coach, John Bednarowski, Marietta Daily Journal. When we were speaking on the Zoom call after signing day, you were enthusiastic about the quarterback room. First time you had an opportunity to see some of these guys do what they do best. How does that crew look now that you got them on the field?
Well, I think everybody, including them, has a long way to go. We got to do a great job of just continue to bring that group along. I was impressed with just the basic fundamentals of what we're doing from a schematic standpoint, but also too, those guys got to keep coming along because as they go, as our team goes for the most part. So I was impressed with the way they threw the ball at times in the routes on air situations when there was no defense out there, but also too just the mechanics and the ball mechanics and procedures of how we want to operate the offense. They especially have to keep coming along. And they got to come along fast.
You got a long time until you kick off in the fall, but it's also a short time. It just seems to go by that fast. So as you start getting with all the new schemes and such, how much of your system do you think that you'd be able to implement by the time that we get to kickoff?
Yeah, I think that really determines on our players. We don't want to ever overload them and do some things that they can't handle. So, we're going to keep pushing forward. We're going to be very aggressive of how we install our schemes and our procedures. But at the same time, we got to make sure that they can actually go execute it at a very, very high level. So it may be 60%, it may be 70%. It really doesn't matter as long as they can execute whatever percentage we put in at a very high level.
Last year's starting quarterback made a position change, Davis Bryson. How's he handled that, and how's he looking out there on the edge? Because I know he's got some pretty good speed.
Yeah, he does. Really great short area quickness. The thing that we've been impressed with Davis about is his leadership skills. right now, just the way he handles himself in the building, he has a lot of respect among his teammates. Obviously, playing quarterback the last couple of years, he's just kind of been a leader of this team, and we want to continue to see that. We're going to continue to see that growth of how he's going to lead these guys. Just as a position specific, he's still learning the intricacies of playing the wide receiver position. But I have been impressed with how he's caught the ball, how he's learned how to run routes. He understands leverage a lot, and obviously he's a smart player because he understands the whole gamut of what we're trying to do from a 10,000-foot view, just for the position playing quarterback.
One last thing. Last year, Donovan Westmoreland came in. He was hyped as the highest-rated player ever to come out of Kennesaw State. Immediately got injured. How is he looking, and do you think he's everything that everybody was hoping that he was going to be?
We have no clue. we have not seen Donovan run full speed at all. But I will tell you this: his growth in the training room right now. I think every week you just see him get a little bit better. When we first got out here, probably 4 weeks ago, he was walking around with a limp. Now he's kind of running full speed. It'll be exciting that, as he keeps growing. Hopefully we can get him involved in some individual drills, by the end of spring. But just keep bringing him along, the growth part of it. I can tell you one thing: his attitude and his mindset, he's wired the right way.
Coach, you obviously have a lot of experience in the collegiate ranks, but now that you are coming from the NFL, what is the biggest difference that you're taking now as a head coach from being a position coach in the NFL to here at Kennesaw?
I just think the way we practice. I think as the roster sizes continue to decrease in college football, I think we're going to have to be very intentional about how we train and how we manage young men. Yesterday we had one of our team meetings leading up into this first spring practice, showing a lot of NFL footage about how we practiced at Jacksonville, sometimes OTAs or whether it was mini camp. Like, we're going to try to take some of those same things that we did and then try to implement them here.
And I know, a lot of different college football head coaches, it's easy to talk about the biggest ones in the game, right? Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, like those types of guys. When they first started a program, they always say, hey, it takes a couple years to implement the system and implement the atmosphere that I want at this school. What is that for you?
I think it's very similar, especially with the world of transfer portal now. Sometimes you only have a young man for a year, maybe 2 years if you're lucky, if he starts to have success. So you just got to be ready for the tribulation that happens over the course of time. So making sure you get the right foundation of guys that you continue to build and grow in your program, but also at the same time, you got to continue to influx them with great talent. And I think it's going to be a challenge. That's the great challenge for our staff and for myself. It's just to make sure the culture that we want, the standards that we want, we're preaching that on a day in and day out basis. Because what's going to happen is, as young men come into the program, they're going to see what the standard looks like. They're going to feel what it looks like, and then they're just going to fall right into place.
I know you said the energy was high for the first day of spring. What about execution? What would you like to see execution?
Oh yeah, we definitely got to clean that one up. Very, very high energy, but like from an execution standpoint, we got a long way to go. Just from straight fundamentals and details. I love the energy. I love how eager they are to try to learn, but also too, there's another piece to this that fundamentally wise, we have to keep coming along. We've got to keep growing every day.
Do you say, hey, you didn't have the season you wanted last year? Do you mention last year? Do you mention previous? I know it wasn't your regime, administration, whatever, but do you mention that as a motivating tool going into 2025?
We don't talk about what happened last year. I wasn't here. A lot of these guys, probably a third of them wasn't even here either. So that has nothing to do with us. Now, what we do address is certain situations that happened last year within the course of just the game, right? Fourth quarter, third down, situational football, which not only do we use film from what happened here last year, we'll use film from all over the country, so we can make sure that we don't let those things happen to us. So we're constantly trying to install and implement situational football so they can kind of have an idea of how to address and how to attack those things when it appears in the fall.
Did you have any first day of school jitters ahead of the first spring practice?
I didn't. I was more worried about if the clock going to be right. That's about it.
Anything else for Coach, guys? All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Coach,